Big, iconic, bankable. What does it look like? What does it also take to build a truly bankable or iconic brand? But let's talk about what does that mean? What does it mean to have a richer company? What does it mean to have a big, iconic, and bankable brand? Well, it looks like this. It looks like doing $2 million in 1 hour, which is what we've been able to do in my company. It looks like having six-figure offers, like the ones I've been having conversations with some of the top leaders in the industry this week, including this morning. It looks like $100,000 keynote fees, being paid $100,000 per speech. It looks like Jade, one of my clients, Jade. It also looks like Jasmine, who just had a $65,000 offer that a client decided to take up with her. And then two $25,000 offers, which were all upgraded offers into this big, iconic, bankable ethos that I teach on. Two clients who just did $25,000 coaching programs with her services, and they paid in full upfront. What does it mean to have a big, iconic, bankable brand? It also looks like Brittany, who is in the corporate space. And again, to step into the corporate space, you probably need somebody who's been there, which is why you don't hear a lot about some of the things I'm going to talk to you about now, is because most people online haven't been in the rooms that I've been in and haven't built the background or the mass market brand that I've built offline, not just online. And so Brittany left her pharmaceutical company at Pfizer, and she was in sales, I think, or something. But anyhow, she launches her first offer and she gets paid $250,000 from one client, and they pay in full upfront. Her second client, this is within her first year, pays another $650,000 plus, taking her to almost $900,000 in her first year, without having a large online presence or following, without having to feed the algorithm and dance like she's on poles as the reels came out and the music thing. She didn't have to do any of that. Can collapse time. This is what it looks like to have a big, iconic, bankable brand. And sometimes we wonder, is that possible for me? You know, I'm using these big numbers because I want you to know what's possible, but also it can fit you where you are. Instead of a $100,000 keynote, you may be starting at a $10,000 keynote. Instead of a $250,000 corporate contract, yours might be $75,000 as your first corporate contract, or it could be larger. I was on with a woman this morning who just did $1.5 million at her event, right? And structuring what could six-figure offers look like for her. But I have six-figure offers. We were discussing one of them. So what I'm trying to show you today is that who you learn from matters, and what you're likely learning online is average. Can we just go all the way in there? Let me tell you who I am and what do I know about this topic, especially if you are new here in these streets, or if you've been around fairly new and you think that I have my specialty is having babies and writing books, because you have our devotional 100 Days of Believing Bigger, or you saw my pregnant belly when I was carrying triplets during the pandemic. Let me just remind you a little bit about who I am and what it is that I do. So my name is Marshawn Evans Daniels. I am a reinvention strategist for wealth building women who are growing big, iconic, bankable brands. We do this through a few ways. One is through offer elevation, upgrading the caliber of your offers. Also through income elevation, upgrading the caliber of your income. And then platform expansion. And this is where, amongst a lot of areas, I think that everything that I teach is at a level 10. But mass market brand expansion into media, book deals, which I'm going to talk to you about today. I actually have checks that I haven't cashed yet that have come in, and it's multiples for royalties and fees that come in. I don't self-publish. I don't. I've never self-published, so I don't teach self-publishing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I believe in a big, iconic, bankable brand that has footprint in the mass market. Why? Because I believe God loves visibility. And my specialty has also been helping women of faith to upgrade their lives, to upgrade their income, their influence, and their walk with God. I've been doing this for 15 years. And some of your favorites, some of the people you follow online, got their start planted in the soil of our company. And so today I want to talk to you about like what is holding you back, regardless of where you're at. And I'd love for you to tell me either live or on the replay, where are you at right now in your business? I also want to tell you that you watching this right now, either live or on the replay, is not an accident or not a mistake. I don't go online all the time. I've been able to build a life, a business where I don't have to be here all the time. I have taken up to 2 years off without launching and doing things and we were fine and we thrived and we traveled around the world. That's why I want you to really pay attention today. But this moment is not casual. I know that I have a special gifting and anointing for income generation and income transference. And that's how you know what your real gifts are. What is it doing in the lives of other people? If you are not new to this community and you have been in our space, type below. Type below. I think that you should always be able to fact check. Everything I'm going to share with you here today, you can fact check. These are real people with real results. And some people have been around for a decade and know the truth of this. Lastly, I am going to be opening up something very soon here this week. And you're going to want to remember this. You're going to want to type in the word miracles in the chat. You're going to want to type the word miracles in the chat. And when you comment miracles, you'll get on my e-list and you'll be one of the first to know. And if today, not if, but when today, what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes, when it really speaks to you and expands your vision about what is possible, because I don't believe that's happening in the online space. I think what is happening right now is that you're being exposed to what's already been recycled. You're not expanding vision. Maybe if you've never been in this ecosystem before. The gift, the anointing, the mandate, and the mantle on my life is to stretch your vision for what you believe is possible. And I'm here today because it is time for you to wake up. It's time for you to listen to what God has been saying about your next season, and that next season starts now. It's time for you to stop playing with grace. It's time for you to stop sitting on the sideline because now it's really go time. If you're not aware of what's happening in the world and you sit there and you stay in your feelings and in your confusion, the ship is going to sail without you, and it already is. This is a for such a time as this type of message, all right? And it's going to be very practical. So I want you to type in the word. I'll type it here. Comment miracles. So you can get on my list. All right. Comment miracles for VIP list. You also get a complimentary gift from me called Manifest Miracles. It's Bible. I'll probably change it. I am changing it. We're changing a lot. Mainly because, look, the New Age people hijack a lot of words, including the word manifest. I believe the manifest means to release what's within. So whatever God has put inside of you, the gift, the calling, the anointing on and in your life, the voice that is inside of you. My job as a midwife, a business midwife, a multimillionaire midwife, business midwife, is to pull that out of you today. Okay? Are you already glad you're here? A little nervous? Both are fine. So look, here, I've told you a little bit about what a big brand looks like. For me, BIG, big, stands for built in God to begin with. There is nothing that God calls you to do in the business world that is designed to be small. Just really think about how insulting that would be, that you would think God would want you to puttyfoot, I don't know the right word. Well, I do know one, but we're not going to say that. But that you would tinker with an idea or just do it in a small way, thinking that, you're honoring God by not charging a lot. You're honoring God by hogwash. It's a trap of the enemy. The enemy loves poverty spirit, wants women in this season, women of all races in this season, to doubt themselves, to doubt their thoughts, to doubt their voice. And what that does is it shows up as hesitation, scrolling, information gathering, and never really investing. But I also think that you may not know where is the best place to invest. And if something doesn't make your baby leap, I'm not just talking about in the spiritual, but also in the practical. Like receipts are important, which is why I say the numbers. You will never attract that which you are uncomfortable talking about. So I like to say, yes, I made $2 million in 1 hour to normalize that. One, for my mind, So my body knows this is what we do. So my mind knows that this is what we do. And I'm like, man, God, if we did that, what's next? So I say the numbers. I don't just say profitable. I say this was a multi-million-dollar day that we had, a multi-million-dollar hour that we had. Okay. So there's nothing holy about hiding. I want to talk to you about what stops you from having a big, iconic, bankable brand. And big, when I say built in God, it's not about size. It's about significance. It's about what meets you where you want to be based off of what's important to you as a woman in your life right now. And I know we've got fellas here too. I'm talking to you too, but the guys always say guys, they don't say women. Just rock with me, okay? So when perhaps you just want to be able to not show up online ever so you can be with your kids, or you want to start something that's more philanthropic. You have whatever matters to you matters to God, and that's why it matters to you, and that what he's given you in terms of your ideas and your insight is to make that come to fruition. All right? So I help women build real businesses based off of their lives, their real lives with real issues, with real constraints, with real children who don't care about your schedule and they have needs, about real aging parents that you're now being stretched into thinking about their care way before you thought you'd ever have to deal with it. Over here, dealing with loss of a parent. Mine was sudden. I lost my dad. It has been emotionally identity rocking and devastating in many ways, right? I say devastating in the sense that it's probably just the most accurate word. And I run a business that my face has been on the cover of essentially for 15 years. And so I help real women build real businesses for the reality of their lives. What that looks like is what it looks like for you. So when I say big, I want to be really clear what I mean by that. It means whatever is built in God for you, but also not to shrink. Because the one thing that I do is I expand everything that comes around me. I have only been pregnant one time. And you know how many kids I had? The first time I was ever pregnant, my housekeeper was here, so this wasn't out. I had 3 babies in 6 minutes. I'm not saying this to brag because this is a testimony of heaven for sure. But so is most of my life. I'm saying this because I am owning my voice in this season, and I'm inviting you to do the same. I am owning the impact that I have had in this industry for 15 years. And look, the erasure of women, women of color, Black women, and all women is happening for other women. And you can let that happen, or you can say, let me reintroduce myself. Right? I even had to go through that myself after having 3 babies in 6 minutes in the middle of a pandemic, and then suddenly losing my father, thinking that, wow, we waited all this time at age 40 for me to get pregnant. And I thought my parents would be here. I didn't think my mother would have the health problems that she did. I didn't think any of that. And so some of that creates a little bit of timidness. Okay. And it causes you to doubt your relevancy. But then I had to remember the women that you follow learned right here. They did. And some of them just swipe filed the websites and did their very best. And so what is not going to help you in this season is hiding in the shadow of who you have been versus stepping in the authority of who you are. And so let's get right into it. What does it take to build a big, iconic, bankable brand? Big, built in God, iconic. Now, that word seems very selfish, but when I think of the word iconic, I think of something that is memorable. I think of the most iconic person to ever walk the face of the earth was our Messiah. That's why there's so much debate. There's so much hate and so much everlasting life in the middle of it as well, too. I'm not talking about being seen for the sake of being seen. I know it's important to be seen. The reason I write books like the ones you see behind me, and I'm going to talk about that. I have at least one of these checks I'm going to open here today. Like these are each individual checks. I was not well most of this last month, so I usually try to get on, but I just wasn't well for like 4 weeks. So the checks stacked up. And I'm grateful to that. But that doesn't happen without building a big, iconic, bankable brand presence. Our Messiah was iconic because he was divisive when it came to his voice. And he made a proclamation and a claim that either you believe or you don't. And that's the version of Marshawn Evans Daniels that you're getting in this season, because it is the only version that actually makes me feel alive again. And there was a part where I kind of fell back into nice branding and nice pricing and nice offers that would meet people I did the exact opposite of what got me to $2 million in an hour. And I do believe some of it was, one, I needed to experience that again, that anyone can backslide back into there's a word I want to say, the opposite of rich is raggedy. Mine was never raggedy. Most of my offers have always been at least, I only know offers at least with a comma. And even that, when I'm used to 5 figures. So let's talk about, what does it take and what are some of the mistakes that you're making? Are you tracking with me? Yes or yes? Are you tracking with me? Signing multiple multi-6-figure publishing deals without an agent, which I have right now. Having live events and then consulting and helping people behind the scenes with their live events. People like a Tiffany Montgomery, like a Brooke, why am I forgetting Brooke Thomas, a Brooke Thomas with Live Out Loud, and even like a Rachel Luna, to see and help them behind the scenes with their offers. So it's not just me, but being able to do that for other people. What does it take? What does it look like? And what does it look like in this season with the chaos that's happening in the world right now? Well, number one, here's the first mistake that you're likely making. Number one is messaging. I've always said for 15 years that you don't have a money problem, you have a messaging problem. Write that down. Even if you're watching this on the replay, stay in flow with me the entire time. Don't scroll ahead. Go ahead and rewind, but stay in flow with me the entire time. It'll be worth it. And type below as well too. So you don't have a money problem, you have a messaging problem. And messaging determines the momentum of your money. Always has, always will. So a lot of times you think something is wrong with the people who you're talking to. Generally, the issue is how you're talking to the people. And oftentimes you are doing a couple things. Here's a couple of problems with your messaging. One is probably boring, meaning it's average. Most messaging is boring. You want to know how I know? You can take almost anybody you see who comes up on your timeline and cut and paste another person's face on there, and you really can't tell the difference. True or false? True or false? First problem you're making, the mistake is not just you're making the mistake. You don't even know you're doing this because it's so recycled, which is the second area of messaging mistakes. And it's one of the things that, the things that agitate you are representative of the things that you're assigned to. And it agitates me when people make offers that they're really not qualified to make. And I don't say this in terms of imposter syndrome. I can tell that someone is not good at what they do when they teach you and they say they're going to teach you about paid speaking. It takes one to know a real speaker. I've spoken on the biggest stages in the world: Office Depot, Ernst & Young, Delta Airlines. These are not only places where I've spoke, but these are clients that I have. Many of you know I've had a 10-year endorsement, sponsorship, and partnership deal doing consulting and training, and they sponsored my masterminds. I didn't pay for my masterminds and my live events. I had live events with 500 people in the room. I didn't pay for those events. My sponsors pay for those events. Why don't you hear anybody in this industry who does live events? Why don't you have the biggest companies in the world sponsoring their events? Because they don't know how to do it. And so you're learning from people who have learned to get advertising and learn to play the algorithm to get in front of you, but it doesn't mean that they know how to do some of the things that you really want to do. They don't know how to do a big brand. They know how to do an industry brand. They know how to do an internet marketing brand. That's what you're inundated with every single day. I'm not on your timeline every single day because I am out doing big brand stuff. I'm out doing big brand stuff. I've got another manuscript due within the next 24 hours. I've got a 2-book deal for a children's book. I've got a 5-year licensing deal, 2 of those products that we're working on right now with my publishing partners at Dayspring. Dayspring are real partners. You can see that right here. So this says Dayspring and this check says Dayspring. I just cover up, and This is from Dayspring, and this is from Dayspring. These are all from Dayspring. This is from Simon and Schuster. It has not been opened yet. This is actually my tax document for the money they paid me this year for a book I wrote in 2018. The Dayspring stuff started from 2020. It's now 2025. I'm talking about big brand stuff. The things that God has already told you that you're assigned to, speaking on stages, not just on webinars. I don't like webinars because I don't like to follow the format. I like big brand activity. I like iconic. Iconic means that it's long lasting. The word even teaches us only what we do for God will last. Only what we do for Christ will stand. So that's what I mean when I say iconic. And so the first issue is that, do you have iconic messaging? Do you have messaging that indicates to people that you're the real deal? Or are you doing what another coach told you to do so that you're being made in their image? Have you actually found your voice, or do you just have a message? So most of it's recycled, average, boring, and I would say timid. Yes or yes. That's the first mistake. The second mistake is positioning. That you've not positioned yourself. You've positioned yourself only as an expert or someone who has knowledge of something, but you haven't positioned yourself as a catalyst. You haven't positioned yourself as an industry definer. So your language is not audacious enough when it comes to your messaging, and nor is your positioning. There's nothing holy about hiding. You're shrinking. You're playing smaller. And you're doing what you've been taught, not operating in how you can't even hear how you're being led because you're inundated with algorithmic voices coming into your space. And it's interesting because I see all the same things that you see. Very few of them speak to me because I do believe that I operate at a higher frequency of vision. And sometimes you need a visionary who unlocks vision in you, which is why I write books on belief only. And what better positioning is there than to step into the mass market? Now, I'll tell you, I don't self-publish, but I want to give you a little bit of receipts. I've been around a long time, from the days of doing physical products. Bible study challenges. First one was 2011, How to Find Your Voice, which is both Bible study and practical. How do you actually not just have a message, but a voice, and your voice is going to be catalytic to your vision, which is also going to invite people into this other level of positioning and authority where you come in as a category disruptor and creator. This is how you build a big iconic brand, and you stop blending in. Are you blending in right now? Are you feeling like you don't stand out? Are you feeling like people are kind of interested, but they're not actually saying yes, and they're not writing the check, they're not swiping their card, and you're getting frustrated and you're feeling like maybe you don't belong? Media mastery. What would I know about that? I had to tell my girls yesterday because we were watching Tabitha's kids show. And I was like, mommy does TV too. They're like, yeah, yeah. I said, let me remind you who your mama is. Your mama has been on every major network there is, which is why I can help people like Paige Turner, who is on HGTV, who just got like her 4th or 5th show. I'm doing a series and she's going to come on and talk about her experience all these years later after being a mastermind. Or Ashley Graham, who's a supermodel on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I remember when she got the call from Sports Illustrated, when she got the call from Tyra Banks, because I was her coach at the time, to do America's Next Top Model. When she wasn't sure what her brand was, she went from 300,000 people on Instagram to now, like 20 million? Because she found her voice, not just a message. Message is important, but your voice determines your positioning. So I won't go through all of these, but there are plenty. But the other thing about positioning is mass market and mass market visibility in particular. And so I believe in publishing. If you have thought about speaking on bigger stages, that's different caliber positioning. And I'm not talking about speaking at other entrepreneurs' events. I'm not talking about that. That's recycled too. There's nothing wrong with that. I love it. I've only been invited a couple of times, which is okay. Do you want to hear the insight as to why? I should probably say it on another broadcast. I had a woman who invited me several years ago. It was around 2017. I remember because I couldn't go because I was having fibroid surgery. And when I told her that, she goes, my husband was able to go though. And she said, Marshawn, everyone who heard that you were coming to speak at my event, who's from the industry, said, you don't want to have Marshawn come and speak. And she's like, why? She said, she's going to take all your people. She said, what? She goes, it was more than one person who said that. They didn't say you were going to do, I was like, what do they mean by that? She was, they didn't say it in terms of you were going to be unscrupulous. She says, but if you're on their stage, it's like, if she's on your stage, they're all gonna want to work with her. I was glad that she said the silent part out loud to me because I had been wondering why. And it's okay if you built your own empire and you have your own ship. You don't care whether you get invited or not. And this is what it actually means to be a category creator, where people maybe don't like likability is a liability. I'd rather be respected than liked because I'm a kind person and I'm a good person and I'm generous. And I'm grateful to God that He would protect my kindness and my generosity and my goodness from vultures because I've also experienced that in this space. But most people in this space haven't walked in the rooms that I've walked in. And what I'm trying to do in this season, and the reason I want you to comment miracles so you can be on my VYP list for an email I'm sending out in the next 24 hours, is so I can show you how to build a big, iconic, and bankable brand through paid speaking. So that when you are speaking on a stage, you're not only paid in advance to be there, to do a 30 to 45-minute keynote talk, 10,000, 25, 50, or 100,000. These are real fees from real clients, but also that you get contracts from those. And you start being able to work with corporations based off of those engagements. That's my world. That's what my world was before I even knew what a sales page was. The second area for me is also media, mainstream media. I'm not just talking about podcasts, nothing wrong with those. I'm talking about authority positioners. I'm talking about big, bankable, big brand activity. Iconic, things that are going to last. You can search my name and CNN, and you can see all these things that come up. I've been on Fox Business. I've been on ESPN. Every business I've ever had, I've created a footprint in media. I have. And I taught myself because I got taken advantage of from other PR people. So I know how to do it because I practiced it. I've done it. And I used to manage NFL and NBA players. So I had to teach myself to do that for them. And then when I left that space to start my own company, I had to do it for myself too. There's paid speaking, there is media, but there's also books. Now, books is the one of many things that I know, but it's something this time of year, still kind of at the beginning of the year, that people talk about. This is my first book with Wiley, that everything's fact checkable. You can see Wiley. Wiley is the largest business book publisher in the world. They were in 2008 when I got the deal, which is the number and the timeline that really matters. And you think I'm bragging, I'm only bragging on grace. I think it's easy to say what you've done when you know God's hand was upon you. You don't have to always give that little asterisk, but also you're trying to model for other women, what does it look like to walk in an authoritative, audacious voice? But I know it was a big deal for them to be the biggest, largest business book publisher in the world, and to do the first time they'd done a business book with a Black female under the age of 30, maybe with a Black female, period. That was in 2008, before Facebook was popular. I remember because I didn't even think that Facebook was a real thing. It was that new. It was something for college kids at the time. My second book was with Simon & Schuster. I told you I had something here from Simon. I'll open it right now so you can see it. I wrote this in 2017. It came out in 2018, something like that. I think my agent reached out to me. An agent came to me. I didn't have to go get an agent, but I can show you and will show you this week how to get an agent for the thing that I'm releasing. But you can see it says Simon & Schuster. I'm covering up my address. That's their logo. It says Simon & Schuster. I don't say numbers when it comes to this because of SEC. I'm a lawyer also by trade. So Simon & Schuster. You've been interested in writing a book? Type miracles. Type miracles. If you're interested in messaging and you want to get some head start on messaging, type in honey. I'll send you my course, Money Honey. It's a paid course. I don't do free business courses as a high-end business coach. And if you've been doing that, that's part of the problem too. It is a kind of a taster, a sampler type of price point to try to get a sense of like some of the things of like the higher caliber. But Money Honey is a golden place for you to start today, where you can make changes today. How do I know? Because of my inbox. Everything in our soil, because it's dipped in grace, is more of a today thing. Give me 1 second. I need to send a message real quick. think I can do it from this phone. So, one second, finish 2 more points. Okay. So everything in our space tends to create like instant results. I think it's because of the experience. So a lot of times, some of the things that you're investing in, the reason why nothing is happening is because it's recycled. They never had the anointing on it to begin with. They never had the gift with it. They maybe just learned how to sell it. If it is a true gift, then other people's growth is accelerated quickly because that's what anointing does. It creates a bamboo. So what I'm saying is type in honey, and it's a great place to get started today with money honey on your messaging right away. But 2 book deals. I've done book deals now with half of the big 6 publishers. So this is Wiley, this is Simon & Schuster. We're talking about a big, iconic, bankable brand. We're talking about the things that most people haven't done. And some people are newly stepping into this space for sure, but they don't necessarily teach it. And everybody who does something isn't necessarily gifted to teach it. But who do you know that's been doing it since 2008? That looks like me? This is also what it looks like to be a category creator. And then I decided somehow as a business coach, you know, making a couple million an hour, that I would write a devotional. My email list has always been, my emails people have always been more drawn to my faith content, but they invest at high levels in my business offerings. How do you do that? Most people who are believers struggle with offers and income. There's a reason for that. One, you do need to be in an environment where you're investing at the level that you want to be invested in. I firmly believe that, because otherwise there's another belief transference here. But 100 Days of Believing Bigger is here. How many of you have this book? Most of the checks that I'm getting, well, I've got a lot because I've also negotiated my own licensing deal, my 5-year deal. I negotiated this book. Now, this book, 100 Days of Believing Bigger, has been on the bestseller list, the ECPA, which is the Evangelical Christian Publishers Association. They rank all the Christian books, right? They're the list. They're like the New York Times for this audience. You've got your 5 love languages from Gary Chapman. You've got your purpose-driven life. You've got all your Lisa Turkes books. You've got the Jakes' books. You've got all the major mega. Guess whose book has been on the bestseller list for 4 years running? 2021, 2022, 2023, and we made best of 2024. And not even at the bottom. My God, I'm always amazed at how, and y'all don't even hear me talk about it that much. There's nothing that can be anointing. I'm only sharing it with you because I believe that you don't see as many people doing it. There's nobody else in the world who has a devotional who's in business. There's not another woman who's in the business world who has a best-selling devotional. It's never happened before. So when sometimes people say, well, who's an example of that? I'm the example. And now I'm trying to invite more women into this space, because what does it require? It requires getting a book deal. What does that require? It requires getting an agent. What does that require? It requires doing a book proposal. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what does it take to get on stages speaking. Look, our signature event, Speak for Pay, is how I made my millions. That's the event where I made $2 million in an hour. I forgot what I was going to say. I was like $2 million an hour doing the events, money. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But being able to do high level business and then to be able to do Bible stuff, many of you want to do that. You should probably learn from somebody who's done that. I'm just saying. And I'm a lawyer that means the speaker contracts and the speaker resources from someone who has spoken at the biggest companies in the world. And most people who talk to you about speaking or corporate stuff, they're not on the speaker circuit. I would know them. There are a few people. I can count on one hand of every woman in this industry and every man in this industry who is a real speaker. There are less, like maybe if I include the men, maybe I can get a hand and a half. There are very few who actually operate at a high level. Most people take what they've learned from people who've done it, and then they go and try and teach it. But if they cannot show you videos and pictures, if there is no proof and you don't see, it didn't happen. They're just marketing to you. I am sorry. This is why I am doing this week. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the fake. I'm tired of faking the funk, because I believe this season really matters. I believe that's what's happening in the world is a time Like, look, it means it's time to get serious about this, and do not waste time with people who don't know what they're doing, who know how to advertise in front of you, who know how to play the algorithm. You're gonna get left behind. You're gonna get left behind. So look, this book is with Dayspring. They're underneath Hallmark. It is a small publisher, and it is the biggest book that I've ever published. It just is. We have sold hundreds and hundreds and thousands of copies, which is why I get a nice, fat, beautiful, blessed royalty check every quarter. Every 90 days, I like clockwork. But you know what else I get? Let's open one of these before I hop off. This one came in first. So I know what this is. I just haven't opened it yet. From Dayspring. So I negotiated my contract for this book. I was like, I pretty much push my agents anyway. And I have other reasons I'll talk about on another day why I am not represented right now. Not because I can't be, but in alignment with what I heard from above, who said, you don't need unnecessary help. I already have the relationships. So I negotiated this book deal in 2019, months before I became pregnant with triplets. And this came out in the pandemic, in the middle of a pandemic and supply chain issues, and still has continued to sell like a new release. It's called a backlist bestseller now. Okay. I'm just giving you examples. I'm only doing this to expand. I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to give you a picture of yourself. Are you following me? Yes or yes? Can you just say, I'm following you, Marshawn? I'm getting a bigger vision of who I am and who I'm supposed to be. All right. So this is my, which one was this? This is either, does it say, this is either my advance? No, this is my advance. And then I have the statement should say, it's my advance. It says, Dear Marshawn, I just can't, I got to be careful not to show you the numbers, again, SEC violations, but then also I will never talk about I'll talk about overall contracts. I'll never show an actual check. And people are going to start getting in trouble for this. I learned this a long time ago when I was in law school. It says, please find an enclosed check in the amount of such and such for the advance on contract number, And this is from Missy, who's the licensing and legal specialist. So this is my advance. What's an advance? An advance is what you get paid in advance of your contract actually coming into being. And then it counts against your royalties. So you have to make your advance back and then you start getting royalties. But because I'm already in royalty and this contract adds into my existing contracts, I'm already in royalty range. So this is a bonus payment. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Dayspring. I love Dayspring. I owe something to them today for a new book that we have coming out this fall. And the second one we're working on right now that comes out in the spring. You know what else comes out in the spring? My children's book. When you're doing big brand activity, you're not just preparing for your launch for today, you're doing something for tomorrow. So what does that look like? Right now, I'm about to send out in the next 24 hours an invitation and a showcase that will teach you how to build a big, iconic, bankable brand through paid speaking, through high-end coaching, and also through publishing. If you want that, type in miracles and you will be on the list to be able to get that. All right. You'll get a free gift, but you need to opt in and register in order to be on my email list if you're not. Okay. And what else am I doing? In addition to launching the income generator of business offerings, I am also writing multiple books because I understand big brand activity is not just about survival for today. It's not just about income for today. It's about 5 years. And I'm about to pitch my next book. So I've got a 5-year licensing deal with one company that has multiple product extensions of 100 Days of Believing Bigger. Did you know you can also get a book deal for prayer cards, which is what 100 prayers to share for Believing Bigger are. Talking about big, iconic, bankable brand. Who else is on here? Who else is on the World Wide Web? On Instagram, in your face right now, telling you to be more audacious, telling you got to upgrade your messaging, that you got broken messaging, broken positioning, and can actually help you with those things. So I really want you to pay attention because I know that with what we've been building and what we have coming and what's coming this week, and also what I see. And when I see something, it's real and I see it. And I also see so many people who are about to get so massively left behind that they wish that they paid attention to a day like today. Did you know you can get a book deal for a calendar? Did you know, I don't know if it is today, but this has been the #1 desk calendar on Amazon, which is essentially like the world because it's the #1 ranking system. Randomly, I will just go on and for weeks at a time for something I don't even talk about. Because you know what the Bible says? Don't praise yourself, let another man praise you. Other people. When you are bankable, it's because other people are referring you. You're repeatable. You're referable. That's what makes you bankable. That's in your business, but also in product offerings. Outside of online offerings, I don't own this book or this book or these. I have been able to leverage somebody else marketing everything, somebody else publishing, someone else taking the cost. They pay me the same thing that clients have paid me over $10 million for without me doing ads. You see me popping up on your ads being like, hey, stop scrolling. Not that you won't, but have you? Nah, you don't. Why? Because I learned real marketing. I learned real marketing. Nothing wrong with advertising, but I learned real marketing. And this is actually book deal. Did you know that you could do that? Did you know you can get a deal for a calendar and that it would be a best-selling calendar? I didn't know that. One more book. Daily Blessings. This is a journal. A journal. Just a few entries. It's a journal. It's a journal on holy mindfulness from a businesswoman. Because I learned from working with businesswomen, what does it really take for women in business, stepping into business at the aspiring, emerging, and established stages? What holds us back from walking in abundance is head trash. It's spiritual garbage. It's living beneath our calling. So I might be teaching you business, but I'm really doing destiny work here. And I know that. And I believe that that may be what you are called to also. So with that being said, this has been just a little bit of a place for you to come in and hear about who I am, what is it that I do, and why what you hear here will not be what you hear out there. And this is a season that I'm inviting you to step into your real voice, to your wealthy space and place. And that if there has never been a time, this is the time for such a time as this, for you to build, for you to get serious, for you to be iconic, and for you to bank, for you to build a bankable brand. You can't give and help your family with the things that are coming without money. We don't need your prayers for money. We need your strategy for income. That's who I want to be. That's who I am. That's the offer that I'm making for you on this day, is to dive into this ecosystem. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me. I go in and I listen and I hear and I strategize and I build my jars before I come to you. And I see something great. And I'm also deeply grieved by what I've also seen about those who will be absolutely left behind in mass. It will be a remnant. It will be a rare person who catches this and is like, I'm typing in miracles. I'm going to type in money, honey. I'm going to type in honey. I may just go ahead and get that today so I can get started and get in the flow of elevating my messaging, elevating my positioning. The next time I hop on, I'm going to talk to you about some of the other mistakes that you're making when it comes to your pricing, when it comes to your avatar, when it comes also to your offers, because here's what's ultimately happening is that you're competing in the toilet bowl right now. And I'm here to help you step out of that and to operate more in an oasis. An oasis for you that's also an oasis for others, where it's constantly life-giving, it's prosperous, it's refreshing, it's not exhausting, it's worthy of the caliber of who you are. So I hope that you have not just enjoyed this from entertainment, but that you have received this as an invitation to truly believe bigger, to live bolder and prosper higher. Now, if you just listen to this and you're like, that was good, I'm going to go back and watch the replay, you missed it. You missed it. When you hear something that awakens and causes the baby in your belly, which is the future calling you, that is the #1 way that most people miss the invitation into hires, because they get caught up in the feeling and they don't recognize, the mature ones do, that this is what I've been waiting for. This is who I've been waiting for. This is the time for the things that I've been asking for to come to fruition, and nobody else is really awakening that. That may not be the case for you, but if it is, make sure you type miracles. Make sure that you lean in and you type in honey. Make sure that you open the emails from me. Don't keep me in spam. There's nothing spammy about me. Make sure that we're on your safe sender list because you don't want to miss what is coming. If today spoke to you, it's not speaking to you, it's speaking and igniting and getting the attention of future you, for your children, for your family, and for the things that you don't even know. You're going to be so grateful. You're going to be so grateful for today because I've been here before where someone says, I found you on a random live or a random presentation and I had no idea who you were until now, because God doesn't bring me before people until it's time. I believe that. And some of you, it's been time, but you've been procrastinating and you've been playing in the toilet bowl with other people who teach toilet bowl strategies. And maybe it's time for something higher and more elevated, like big, iconic, and bankable. Look, I believe in you. It's an honor to come before you and an honor to talk with you. But for those of you also who have been messaging me this week about my coaching programs, don't type the word mastermind because ManyChat is still sent to send you something that's going to be confusing. Just say, I'd love to learn more about your coaching, Marshawn. And I'd be happy to share with you some of our private spaces that are available. All right. Take care. God bless. I believe in you. Guess what? Here's the good news. All of heaven does too. Bye-bye.